Is this bloody and gothic isekai series more than just a one-trick gory pony? We're gonna find out. Hello everybody and welcome to this light novel review. In today's video I'm going to be talking about volume number 1 of Keishi Ayasato's light novel series Torture Princess. This one is released in English by Yen On with a translation by Nathaniel Hiroshi Thrasher. If you'd like to pick up your own copy, I do have links in the description down below to Amazon or the book depository. In Japan, this one is an ongoing series. It currently has 8 volumes out. I'm supposing it's an ongoing series because that seems to be what I've seen everywhere. And the most recent volume just came out in February of 2019, so not too long ago. And don't forget that if you're brand new to this channel, I do all sorts of light novel content, so be sure to hit that subscribe and the bell so that you're notified every time I post a new review or any other new light novel videos. Tortured Princess tells the story of Kaito Sena, who is a boy from our world who dies. Shocking, I did say it was an isekai. Although, how he dies is, well, it's pretty rough in comparison to a lot of isekai protagonists. He's actually murdered by his own father. Yeah, Kaito's had a pretty crummy life in our world. His dad apparently is a criminal, a murderer, and when the book opens, like this isn't even a spoiler, this is like the first 2 pages. When the book opens, essentially, I guess Kaito is either gotten on his dad's last nerve or his dad's just decided that he's dead weight, whatever, but he strangles Kaito to death. What happens is that Kaito's soul is summoned before it can pass on to the afterlife, and it is inserted into a golem, which is well, we'll start off with this little bit. It's a flesh golem, so, you know, essentially it's a body. He's been summoned to this other world by the title character Elisabeth le FANU. She, of course, is the Torture Princess, this girl who is possessed of, well, pretty much demonic power and has committed heinous crimes in this world. And essentially, Elisabeth has been bound by the church and has been charged with one mission in order to at least absolve her soul, which is that she is to hunt down the 14 demons and their contractors which have been unleashed in this world. And Elisabeth has essentially brought Kaito into this whole thing to be her butler because, you know, who else is gonna make the food and clean the house for the Torture Princess? Certainly nobody from this world, that's for sure. So our main character, Kaito, finds himself in kind of an interesting and precarious situation because, of course, his initial thought is, yeah, hard pass on this one until he sees what Elisabeth's capable of, and she kind of tells him, hey, you know, you can be my butler or see what I just did to that nasty thing over there? You're next, buddy. So Kaito reevaluates his life choices and decides that he will instead stay at Elisabeth's side and fight and defeat the demons of this world. Now, first off, there's quite a bit that sets this book apart from a lot of other isekai series. It is quite violent. Now, thankfully, it is not the kind of gratuitous graphic violence that makes you feel nauseated when you read it, but let us just say that the author at least tells you enough that it doesn't leave much to the imagination. There is quite a bit of blood and innards mentioned, and, you know, people getting like nails in their skull and so forth. It's pretty vicious. There's actually one scene where Kaito ends up in this area where he sees torture being delivered to people, and man, it was pretty horrifying. Again, the author's not trying to make you sick to your stomach, but well, he's not leaving a whole lot for you to imagine either. So the tone of this one, it is that very sort of dark and gothic sense. Like, you get the sense that this is a world crumbling apart. It's not like a lot of other isekai series where, you know, they're summoned to a world and, oh, there's magic and, you know, there's still greenery and they're still happy. No, it feels like this world is on the verge of death. It feels like this world is dark and falling apart, which, again, like I said, it's a very different setting for this series compared to a lot of other isekai. It really helps that you have Saki Ukai doing the art for this one. He's the artist from Black Bullet, which it was another sort of apocalyptic type series, humanity on the brink, sort of fringes of destruction, and it really works awesome in this book. In fact, I have to say that like the cover artwork alone for this one made me excited to check this book out. But as I said, the tone of it is very different. The other thing that I kind of really liked about this book is, I mean, we get tons and tons and tons of light novels where it's let's defeat the demon lord and fight the demons that plague humanity. And, you know, in a lot of those books, like, the demons are bad, but they never really seem demonic. I don't know how to... I don't know, like, I'm hoping that you guys kind of get the gist as I say this, but, you know, you don't really get that sense that they are twisted in all ways, you know, not just physically, but that they're these horrible things, like, not just in appearance, but even in their thought process. And this was like one of the first light novels that I read that had demons in it that I thought were truly horrifying, that I truly thought, like, these are things truly summoned from hell. Like, you know, they were horrible. And you can see why this world is on the brink, because it's, if these things are out there and there's 14 of them, man, I can just imagine the absolute horror and terror that these things are inflicting on the world. So it's one of the first books that I really like, man, I just felt like these are disturbing things that have been summoned to this world. Like I said, it's not like, oh, the demon lord's a dude with horns, or, you know, or, oh, the demon lord, yeah, we hardly ever see them. They're just a thing that we talk about. Or, you know, oh, the demons are just monsters that have some magical power. No, like, these things are horrifying. And all of this kind of stuff, you would think like it's just a shtick, that, you know, it's just the author really just trying to make this book work by riding on that disgust express. But what actually really holds the book together as a narrative and really elevates it in a lot of ways are its characters, and in how it treats its characters, and how its characters' situations kind of mirror and work with each other. With Elisabeth, and I'll start with Elisabeth, even though, you know, obviously Kaito is the main character, but with Elisabeth, there is a lot about her character that is very interesting, and I really don't want to spoil anything because half of that is sort of the journey. But the one thing that I will say that I really liked about Elisabeth's character was that she owned everything that she did. She didn't try to make herself out to be a victim. She didn't try to say, well, maybe I did some bad stuff, but, or, you know, she didn't try to sugarcoat anything about herself. She owned who she was. She owned what she had done. And she was completely open about the fact that at the end, when she has defeated all these demons, she's going to burn, that she is going to be sentenced to death, and that she'll deserve it. It was a very different kind of character. I really expected going into this that by the end of it I would find out that, you know, Torture Princess, that it was all just made up and that she never did anything really bad and all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of surprised by how the book handled her as a character. But again, I liked it. I liked that we didn't get kind of played down to, dumbed down to as an audience. Kaito as a character, I liked him as well. And again, here's a character that when he's put into certain situations, you kind of expect him to do one thing because that's what most characters do, and he goes the other way. And again, I can't be more specific than that because I don't want to spoil things, but I will say towards the end, he makes some choices that were surprising for a typical light novel protagonist. But I thought at the same time were very true to him as a character and very true to the backstory that he came into this series with. And it kind of, you know, like it really felt that with Kaito in particular, there was this journey of a character, and that in a lot of ways it feels like this book is about sort of accepting your baggage and moving on from it, or, you know, realizing what was good about that baggage, even though overall it might be horrible. And it really showed in the journey of the characters. Even this third character that we have that's featured, this character named Hime, she fills very much that kind of archetype of the girl who is dedicated to Kaito, the friend that he's really never had, that support system that he's never really had. And she could have come off as this very one-dimensional character that, you know, was just there to be obsessed over the main character, but she really comes across as having a bit more depth to that. I would say in a lot of ways she kind of reminded me of Rem from Re:Zero, in that she is close and dedicated to Kaito and wants to see him happy, but at the same time she knows his faults. She acknowledges that he's not perfect. At the same time, she is aware of the things that he needs and wants, and she's willing to make sacrifices for those things. And she also kicks some serious ass, which is pretty cool as well. So all in all, you know, this book is actually a really good package. We, for once, have demons that are truly demonic and horrifying. We have characters that have a interesting and compelling journey, and we have it all wrapped up in this world that feels so different from a lot of other isekai series. Actually, you know, it's funny, I guess, you know, saying that with Ukai being the artist on this one, Black Bullet is probably the closest, I would say, in terms of feeling that same way, that same idea of humanity on the edge. But I guess because this one has more of that gothic flavor to it, that more sort of medieval type society, it feels even more crumbling and falling apart. You don't even have the technology that you have in Black Bullet or anything. So and I guess the other thing about this that separates it from Black Bullet is that Black Bullet still kind of set it up that the cities that humanity lived in, although they could be threatened, were fairly safe as long as you stayed within the city. This one doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like anywhere is safe for humanity. Humanity is constantly on the brink. So when you wrap all of those components together, man, this ended up being a lot better light novel than I expected. I kind of have to admit, I thought that it would be one of those ones, particularly when you see like Elisabeth's outfit, you kind of think that this is going to be kind of fan servicey maybe, or, you know, it's going to be just like I said, it's all gory spectacle, but really it impressed me a lot. It was really different from what I expected in a lot of good ways. I'd like to say a special thanks to Jean-Luc Chartier, Ricardo Matos, Mirage, Kidoang Ungayen, and Mitchell Von Regen for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons who help me to pay for the software to edit and create these videos, as well as the hosting for the Light Novel podcast so they can reach as many people as possible, and to buy the books that I am reviewing. So thank you so much to all of my patrons. So what do you guys think? Are you burned out on isekai? You don't care how interesting the isekai sounds? You're done and over with it? Or are there stories like this one that might just entice you back to the isekai fold? Let me know in the comments down below. For my next review, I'm going to be going back to a continuing series, probably the only series that I've actually managed to keep up with, and that is going to be the latest volume in the Monogatari series, that being Tsuki Monogatari. Okay, I know, there's one volume out that I'm behind on, but I'm pretty close. I'm closer than most other series. So that's going to be my next review. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.